Well, we're at the midpoint of 2022, so it's that time of the year to go over my top picks for the best looking and sounding 4K Blu-rays this year, so far. This would also pertain to 4K streams and for all the Kaleidoscape owners out there. Now, what I did was take all the scores of each movie that I reviewed this year and I averaged them out. That's how I placed them in order from 1 to 5. This list is also not going to take into consideration how good or bad a movie is, so the number one pick might be the worst and lowest grossing film of the year. That doesn't mean it can't look and sound great. So for all you folks out there with home theater setups, good home theater setups, this list is for you. And remember, this list is about audio and video only. Nothing else matters. Kicking off at number 5 is Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City. It's shot in 3.4 and 4.5K with a 4K DI. It's 107 minutes long with an aspect ratio of 239:1. We gave this a 9 for video and a 9.6 for audio. This is a very, very dark movie. If you have a subpar display, then this is probably going to look horrible. If you've got an OLED, it's going to look great. Black levels are some of the deepest on this list, probably the deepest. It's a crispy transfer with a little softness here and there, but overall it's really clean. The CG can be somewhat spotty due to the extra resolution, but zombies look great. And as I mentioned, this is a dark movie, so this isn't a colorful, vibrant transfer. Although the HDR does add some richness to what colors appear on screen, and the specular highlights contrast nicely against the darker palette. As for the audio, this is a dynamically mixed soundtrack, at times. So when those zombies attack, you'll be surrounded in all directions. The ambiance is widespread, which gives this movie a creepy feel, and the bass response hits hard during the action scenes. It doesn't go crazy low, but it's got good impact. Coming in at number 4 is another great movie with a great transfer, Marvel's Morbius. It was shot in 6.5 and 8K with a 4K DI. It's 105 minutes long and the aspect ratio is 239:1. We gave this a 9.3 for video and a 9.7 for audio. It's got a dynamically mixed ATMOS soundtrack which stays active throughout. Just like Resident Evil, there's a nice bubble of immersiveness that expands the soundstage outwards. It's got convincing chopper flyovers, and the surround movement tracks exactly what you're seeing on screen. The echolocation scenes has some crazy deep bass, but I would have liked a little bit more impact during the action parts. As for video quality, it's another Sony crispy transfer. Close-ups are razor sharp, and you'll even be able to make out all the fine textures on clothing and different materials. The CG can be noticeably fake, but it's clean and doesn't distract too much. There's some eye-popping specular highlights and some rich primary colors. The black levels could be better, but overall it's a clean, crisp transfer with excellent surround immersion.
10 to 10. We'll put my spend to spend. Half size. Excel.
In at number 3 is The Matrix Resurrections. We gave this a 10 for video and a 9.5 for audio. It's shot in 6 and 8K with a 4K DI. It's 148 minutes long with an aspect ratio of 239:1. This is one of the movies you'll want to own if you want to show off how good your display can look. It's the crispiest 4K transfer on the list, so if you're someone who hates film grain, then this is a must-own. The detail is crystal clear and razor sharp, and the HDR boosts overall picture brightness. Peak highlights pop and shadow detail remains visibly clean as well. The audio is in Dolby Atmos and it's a dynamic mix. The most impressive parts are going to be all the shootouts. You'll be engulfed in every direction from all the bullets. Now the non-action parts remain within the lower channels, so height channel activity only comes to life during the big action scenes. It's still got a big cinematic soundstage, and the bass digs deep whenever Neo uses the Force. If you want the crispiest movie on the list, then you need to own this one. In at number 2, we've got Dune. We gave this a 9.7 for video and a 9.9 for audio. It's shot in 4.5K with a 4K DI. Runtime is 155 minutes and the aspect ratio is 239:1. So this movie has a very distinct look. Even though it's shot digitally, it's got that film grain softness to it because of the way it was shot.
We realized that to create that softness, again going back to the softness thing, if we went out to film, we would then take the edge off the digital. So in combination with the lenses that we chose, T-stop we shot them at, the diffusion we used, and then the film out, we kind of created this sort of soft world, not as harsh as.
So if you like The Matrix Resurrections for its crispiness, you're probably not going to like this one. It's still got great detail and pleasing HDR, and the color palette is subdued with a lot of earthy tones, and the black levels are going to be a bit soft and raised. As mentioned earlier, they were going for a specific look, and I think it looked great for this film. The audio is in Dolby Atmos, and it's a dynamically mixed soundtrack. The bass is demo-worthy and will rumble your house. The atmospheric effects will fill all your speakers in a bubble of immersion, with a few flyovers from those ornithopters, and the giant sandworms seem to creep up on you from a mile away. It's got standout visuals and even better audio. It's a must-own if you want to showcase your home theater. Now, if you're new to the channel and you're into new movies and audio and video gear, and you want to see more content like this, be sure to tap the subscribe button for new weekly videos. Before we get to number 1, I do have one honorable mention. I didn't do a review on it, but I always go back to it because it has such a great Atmos mix, and the Dolby Vision looks decent as well. It's The Atom Project on Netflix. It was shot in 4.5K with a 4K DI. Runtime is 106 minutes, and the aspect ratio is 239:1. Now, this is probably the dimmest looking movie on the list. It gave me flashbacks of Free Guy, which also happens to have Ryan Reynolds and the same director. I don't think it's quite as dull looking as Free Guy, since the colors do seem a touch richer, and during the action scenes, the highlights you get from those explosions and lightsabers jump off the screen. It's a very clean looking movie, and at times it's very crisp, so you can make out all those finely rendered details throughout. Where the movie shines is the Atmos mix. I'd probably give it a 10 if it was on physical media, but for a Netflix stream, this is about as good as it gets. You can see it's a dynamically active mix right from the start of the movie. Action scenes engulf you in effects, and even the quieter scenes give you a nice immersive feel. If you've got a Netflix account, then this is definitely worth a watch. And in at number 1 is a true crowd pleaser, Michael Bay's Ambulance. We gave this a 9.8 for video and a 9.9 for audio. It was shot in 6 and 8K with a 4K DI. Runtime is 136 minutes, and the aspect ratio is 239:1. This is one of the brightest movies on the list. It might even be the brightest. If you like Michael Bay's visual flair, you're gonna love the overblown peak highlights that'll scorch your eyeballs. The blacks are so deep and contrasty, they elevate image depth perception. It's 4K crispy with ultra-fine detail, so all those pores and wrinkles are crystal clear. It's one of the best HDR transfers on this list. As for audio, it's a dynamically mixed soundtrack that's aggressive in the bass department. Whether it's the musical score or an action scene, your subwoofers will dig deeper and harder than any movie on this list. The high channel activity gets ample usage during the action scenes, with shootouts and car chases being the highlights. And the movie's got that big, cinematic, grandiose soundstage. If you've got a big, bright screen and a dozen or more speakers, you're gonna be in for an audio-video treat. Well, not only this title, but any titles on this list. So that's all I got for now. We'll be back again at the end of the year for the other half of the list. In the meantime, let us know in the comments what's on your top 5 list for the best looking and sounding 4K movies this year. Leave a comment down below and let us know. Now, if you want to grab any one of these movies, I'll leave some links for them down below in the video's description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you want, you can follow us on social media, and if you want to support the channel and get exclusive content or great discounts on audio and video gear, then stop by our Patreon page. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you again in the next video.